Yeah, there we go. Sweet. Hello, hello. Hope everybody's doing well today. Going to be working on some glass blanks. They're blue and green. Kind of like a sea foamy. We'll get a better look over here in a minute. But I'm going to be working on these today. I'm going to try to crank out all these regulars. We call the regulars the ones that are about 5 inches long. So that is what's on the agenda for today. Set up. I was working on some fountain pens yesterday and the day before. These here are what I was working on. It looks like this camera is goobered again. Let's see. Come on now. It was being a little finicky this earlier as well. I don't know why. Guess you just got to pull the plug. This worked before. Why is it not cooperating now? Great start, huh? There we go. Man, how was it being like that? Okay. So these are the seafoam blanks here. That's a much better look. There we go. So they're quite translucent, packed with a lot of glitter and sparkle. So they're going to be really nice, reflecting a lot of light, which is one of the greatest things about different kinds of sparkles. And then the other things I was working on earlier this week was this set. You may or may not know, but we go to pin shows, and so we have to build up some inventory. So that is what this is. These are all going to be fountain pens. I'm doing a alternating a guardian and a marauder. Ultimately, it's just the ends being flat versus round. The caps are all slightly proud, about a ½ millimeter proud from the barrel. Let's see, and that's what these will end up being. But yes, we'll be turning diamond painting pins and chatting for the most part today. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get back to those. So, yeah. Hey, how you doing? Good morning. Hey, thank you. Thank you very much. And for you, I did remedy the thing that we had going on. So it did get fixed. It won't overturn over. It won't strip the threads anymore. So it won't go past anymore, which was the original problem. It wasn't correct. One of the issues that I discovered was that the combination of drill bit that I was using and it being close to the beginning, drilling as far as I did, it caused it to open up the front part of that a little bit more, which I think is what caused that problem. So I have adjusted a little bit. We've reduced the size and drill bit that I'm using for that to make sure that doesn't happen again. The reason I switched in the first place was because some of the materials, when you're drilling some materials, you want it to actually be a little bit larger. So something like ebonite, the rubber, it will compress back down, whereas resin, it does not quite rebound the same way, especially when it generates heat. So that, I believe, is what one of the contributing factors to that issue was. But yes, it is remedied. Abby is going to finish it, and then it will be sent back to you.
Oh, getting sterile.
Yes. Oh no, don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. I mean, I'm sorry. You shouldn't be. It shouldn't have happened. It was one of those things where, well, I guess a learning thing really, because I didn't know that that was the case. So, learning. But yeah. Yeah, no need to, Abby just mentioned, you don't need to worry about shipping either. You just send it back. You can ship yourself to the next pin show. We'll see you there. You'll be in San Fran? Ooh. You don't want to be a problem customer. Oh, well, you're far from that, sir. Far from that. But yeah, when things like that happen, I do my best to try and go through the different things leading up to what that is, or what caused that in the first place. I try to think about how it got to that point. That way, it can be adjusted and not repeated. So that's kind of one of the things that I think is important as somebody who works in a customer service kind of area, as well as a crafting area. Anyway, I think that stuff's very important. But let's see. Coffee. Not having coffee today. I'm having tea today. Let's see. You want to cover shipping? It's really not a problem. The fire department. And no problem at all. No problem at all. It shouldn't have been an issue in the first place. There we go. The fire department. So, I haven't heard anything since. I haven't heard anything back, but they will let me know whether it is a positive or negative, as far as acceptance, that is. So, I'm not worried about it too much, but it would be nice. One of Diane's Kenalia pins. Oh no! As a quad or I don't know if they're using quad. I haven't. Are those the Hawaii inspired pins? I think it is. Entry points has a hitch. I hate that. Governments move slowly. They shouldn't leave you hanging. Yeah. Well, I mean, I wouldn't stop doing what I'm still doing. So there is that. I'd continue doing that. I think it's pretty interesting being able to be able to do something like that. I think it'd be pretty fun. But sorry, you had to be the one to find it that way, huh? It is kind of weird because it's also the resin behaves differently. Because I turned other pins or drilled other pins like that with the same drill bit, and it never really ended up being a. I never had that occur, but I do know that initially it was too tight. The cap, that is, the cap was too tight on the barrel threads, and so I had to open it up just a little bit, and then it worked for the resin for a while, and then I just didn't go back to the previous size. So I suppose over time, or I guess the resin, I'm still not entirely sure, but I do know that the different size drill bit for that did fix it. But it would be pretty cool. Have another community to be a part of and stuff like that. Hey Michael, how you doing? It has been a little bit. Still been doing stuff though. Still been at it. I took the kids the other weekend. I think it was a couple weeks ago right now. But I took them to a pharmacy, and we got one of those reaching tongs, the long grabbers, and I got those for them. And then we came home, got a bag, and then walked down the street, up the street a bit, and then we were just picking up trash. It was really funny because my oldest was like, "What? We're gonna pick up trash on the side of the road?" And I said, "Yeah, it's Sunday. We're not overly religious by any means. We don't go to church on Sunday or anything, but I do think that you should have a day a week where you kind of reflect and you kind of recalibrate and reorient yourself to things." And so that's what we were doing that day. And my kids were not very happy about it. But we still went. And we went out for a good hour or two, filled up a couple trash bags, picking up trash. And then my daughter, my oldest daughter, asked me a pretty good question of, even if we pick up the trash, what's to keep them from doing it again? And it's like, man, she's 13, so I don't know if that's a normal question to ask at 13, but she asked, and I said, I don't know. I don't know what's going to keep somebody from littering again, but it kind of made me think of, if it's just going to happen again, there's going to be trash there the following week. Why bother doing it? And I had to think about that one for a minute. Because it was a pretty good question. Michael, you did your first label casting? That's awesome, man. That is awesome. But what I ended up saying was it was kind of like situational. It wasn't really a direct answer as much as it was a situational kind of thing. Because I was like, well, why do you bother brushing your teeth? Or why do you bother taking a shower? Or something like that. You're just going to get dirty again. And so I didn't have quite a good answer, but it was one of those other things where you can kind of consider other things that you do, even though they do get dirty or whatever it is. It wears down, eventually is not functioning as intended or whatever it is, you know? But what would y'all have said? Why do you bother doing something if, you know, it's just going to end up wearing out or it's going to happen again or whatever? Why do you do that? Good morning, Bone Crusher. How's the weather over there? Over and up there. Cast your own, not perfect, but let's get it dialed in. Heck yeah. You know, if you have a friend or something like that that's a graphic designer, that could be a potential way to showcase some of their work as well. Between your work and theirs. You could even make like a bartering deals where they do a little bit for you, you do a little bit for them, and then you kind of build off of each other that way too. But yeah, that could be a pretty interesting avenue to pursue. I don't do many pins where I would need to label cast anything. Although I have, I've done some modified diamond painting pins that I did show them, but you may or may not have seen. I basically took a piece, a small piece, like about 1.5 inches or so, and then I turned it down and left the middle part big, and then I drilled holes in the opposite ends where they were going to connect, put them together, and then turned it like that. So that would be another way potentially to do like a label casting type of thing if you were trying to do something like that. Hopefully my description was sufficient, but yeah. What? Cold and snowing? Oh man. Do you like the snow? I like occasional snow. The dog likes the snow? Well, that's fun. We, Abby's parents have a house up in the mountains, and our dogs have experienced snow, but they're short-haired dogs. We're also very fair-weather dogs. I kind of joke around about them because they really are like they're rugged and durable. However, they're kind of like one of those Formula One cars where you only bring them out on specific times and stuff. Kind of funny. They they love to just run around in the mountains, but they get so cold because they have short hair. Oh, you got an Aussie? My mom's got a couple Aussies. And they do. I went with them when they went up to the mountains, and there was a river right outside the cabin that we were in. They definitely like the water. Hers are a little yappy though, a little yappy. But they're herding dogs, so they're just trying to organize everything the way that they want it to be. Yes. Been looking at lathes again. Looking at new lathes. I was thinking about getting a bigger metal lathe or replacing my main wood lathe, this one here, with something a little bit more substantial. Not larger necessarily, it will be a little larger, but not so much for the size, but maybe get a nicer upgrade. I've had this one for about 6 years now. So definitely logged some miles on it. I've replaced the bearings a couple times. Pretty sure the last time I replaced the bearings, I messed up the sensor and the headstock, so I can't actually see the speed that I'm turning anymore. All kinds of fun stuff going on. Snow in there. Oh man. Abby's also got family that lives in Colorado. One of them works on the ski area, the ski patrol, and they have a dog that they've been grooming to be a like a search dog. Does anybody know why they're, was it St. Bernards? I think it's St. Bernards. Why they used to have a keg around their neck? Oh. Abby, will you go get that nib holder that has the floater in it? Has the floating ring on it? Well, the St. Bernards have those small kegs on them that holds whiskey, because it was thought that when you are out in the wilderness cold, one of the first line things that they used to do was give them whiskey to warm them up. But that's not actually the case. But they were also big dogs. They'd help drag too, like on a something called a skidco, which is like it's kind of like I don't know. It's really just a sheet of plastic. It's got handles, and that's how you're able to drag people, especially downhill. I did go out and do some snow and avalanche training in my time in the military. Some ice climbing. Not gonna lie, ice climbing was a little eerie, because you're just hoping that the ice is stuck to the wall well enough when you're climbing it. But I will say, on the other hand, it was really easy. If you've ever been rock climbing, you'll know that you gotta have, there's all different types of holds, grips and stuff like that, but with snow, you're basically slinging your ice axe into the ice, and then that's your handhold every time, and you're able to throw it around your wrist too, so when you need to, your hands need a break. Pretty neat. Something that I was working on, as you may or may not know, I do make nib holders, but I had this idea to make a captive ring on it, and I think it's pretty neat. I wanted to make sure it was out of the way, so I think I can move this back just a little bit. But overall, I think this is a fun little thing. I think people will enjoy that. So the way that I actually did it, I just wanted to see if I could. It's not finished, but yeah. Captive ring and a nib holder, pretty fun. Probably make a few more of those and bring them to the show and see how people like that. Michael, if you're still here, what did you cast the pin on, or cast? Yeah, what'd you cast it on? A brass tube. And if so, what are you going to put it on? And then also, I have started the 30-day, basically kickstart for my Discord. And the link is in this description here, in the description of this live. But I kept having issues with people not being able to use the link. But I did set it to where it should work for anybody, and it shouldn't be limited to how many times people do it or use it. But what type of things would y'all like to see on the lives? I usually just get on and chat and about whatever comes up. So it's really I don't structure it other than this is what I'm going to be returning. But I probably could more. I've also been using some AI stuff lately, and there's somebody that I watch on YouTube, and they talk. They're a musical artist, and what she does is she tries to. Well, this is one of the many things she does, but she tries to help people differentiate between AI music and other people's created music. And with the way it's going, it's getting so hard to differentiate between the two, which I kind of find interesting. Anyway, I went to the website. I went to a we're going to use this one. That one's already AC. About that one. There we go. Oh, what AI am I using? I'm using. It's one word, but I'm only using it for music. So I use ChatGPT, and I also use SOOO, I think. Yeah, it's SOOO, SUNO. But it's pretty fun because I had the kids come up with some. But did it? Looks like it's coming through. Can you hear me? Okay. Let's see. Suno AI is what I was using for the music. I also use ChatGPT. It depends, I would say, on what you're trying to do, Gerald. What is it you're trying to do? Because there's a lot of different ones, and then there's also AI that can create other AI that will accomplish specific different tasks. And I wouldn't use it so much so as some people use it as the knowledge, right? But I tested out the AI on something that I am very familiar with, and it was not giving me the correct answers. So that's one of the things that I think is important to know. That if that it's like only ours is the best. You can type of thing. It seems like it looks like it's coming through. I wonder if my bit rate's messed up. I wonder if it doesn't like the squealing on the tool. So we'll change it just to check it. We did a mic switch. See if that helps. Make sure this is juicing. What?
I just checked email.
Oh, Gerald. Thank you for Thank you for sending money for the shipping. Abby just told me that you did that. She looked at me with her hand on her hip. Let's see. Yes, I think it's a decent tool. I guess I am of the position that if you're using it to supplement, it's potentially a great use of it. When you're doing it to like deceive, I don't care for that type of thing. So, and I say that from like the point of view that people are using a lot of clip art and stuff like that, and people already do that with Canva, unfortunately. So people will buy the premium of Canva and then just sell the clip art as their own until Canva catches up to it and takes it. And so for some things, it's just not for them to spend the resources to try and strike that is not worthwhile. Just like people that have stuff that's like Disney stuff on Etsy as well. If you have like Mickey Mouse and stuff like that. But I will say on our shop, we had one pin that was, what was it called? It was Mother of Dragon, I think, is what it was. And it got flagged. Yeah. So it's hard to tell what they actually go for and what they don't. So just to be safe, don't do it. But there's a lot of gray area. I looked at I looked a lot at the whole licensing stuff of logos and things like that. And I'm not saying to do it, but there are people that do it and they run entire businesses off of it. So much so that some of the Disney lawyers have been getting involved in that type of thing. But, it still pops up. And even if it doesn't, here's the other thing, is some people, I saw this specifically on a Tumblr, the cups, like when Stanley was a big thing, people were like laser etching different characters on the Stanley cups, and they got taken down, but because they had already built a little bit of recognition from that, they you can go to basically directly to that person and say, hey, can you make this? And then they are able to, although that's not a practice that sits well with me, but you'll probably find people that are willing to do that type of stuff. And then, on the other hand, so many people are like, well, why does it matter if you use that logo, and why does it matter if you copy it? for those people, I wonder, are you actually asking me this question, or do you really not know? And I think it's the former, but it's like, well, why don't we just put whatever logo on? Well, because it's not professional business practices. But I think that's gotten diluted so much so because people also just generate AI art in all different formats, not exclusively to pictures, but also music and tones and stuff like that. You can have some voice artists be a part of that. And they'll record some of their voice, and then you can train the AI to do it, and then it's just bad. Just bad. Claude wrote you fountain pen inventory application to hold all your pens. Wow. That's awesome. That's really, really cool. I think Claude is one of the other ones that's at least being advertised more. I'm seeing it more. I don't know how old or new it is, but I do know that a lot of companies, what they do is they give you stuff for free that you have to put your information into, and then they get that data, and then they sell that data to big things, such as your spending habits. Like, this is what Harris Teeter does. It's what Walmart does. Target does it. If you have a card with them, or if you have like a member ID or whatever it is, they're building up a dossier of you. So it just is what it is. And for some things, I think it's convenient. It's nice when things just know your preferences. But I also find it a little bit suspicious. And you're like, how did you know that? Or why did you know that? I guess it's more what I think about. But it's funny because my dad he's not like completely behind in everything, but he also doesn't really keep up with everything, and he still buys stuff with cash. But yeah, they're the proverbial they, right? They seem like they're moving away from cash, which has been going on for quite some time. But people still like, cash. It makes you feel like you actually have something instead of just some numbers, I suppose. Yeah, that might be why the mic was going quiet, too, when it starts to squeal like that. And it's caused by the vibrations, because this is a little off. And turning it into round what's causing that. I think I might have a noise suppression filter on it, so it's not as loud. I don't know how loud it is on y'all's end. I haven't checked that in a little while. But the goal was to try and suppress the background noise to it for the most part, and then have it obviously be able to pick up the noise. I have a cheapo webcam at my computer that is not too different than this one that I'm using. This is a Logitech, and it should be performing better, but I have found that some of the simpler webcams actually yield better results than some name brands like Logitech, or even this one is Razer. The main, well, I guess the cam that's looking at me, that one's a Razer, and it sometimes does not want to work correctly. But I think it was specifically the one of the ones that I had gotten, because we got like 3 of them at once, and one of them just kept not working how it was supposed to, and I didn't mess with the settings or anything. Vinny, how you doing? Oh, the sound hasn't dropped since I changed it? Alright, maybe it was that mic then. Or maybe I pushed a button on it when I was switching it, or I don't know. Let's see. These are the ones that I was working on, Vinny. Over the, well, yesterday and the day before, I was working on these. So I've got the Marauder bodies done, and one Guardian done. But yes. Got to prep some inventory for the show. Yeah, Abby and the girls are pretty good. They had a doctor's appointment yesterday. They got some shots. Clean bill of health with a blood test, and also they're going to be getting into sports here next year. So went ahead and did their sports physical. So they'll be able to try out for some different sports. I'm thinking that it would be awesome for them to try out every sport that they can. I know that's going to mean a lot of after school activities for me and Abby, but when I went to middle school in 6th grade, I was playing football, and I wasn't getting home till like 7. I went to a school called Holy Trinity. It was a Catholic middle school. Oh man, I was gonna say it, but it sounds bad. Well, I'll say it anyway. I was one of those. I didn't grow up with a lot of money, so going to a private school, we had to be. I was one of their charity cases. Yep, I was one of the charity cases. But you know, I was around people that were fantastic, good people, and I was in public school, but the amount of attention I needed when I was learning, because I didn't care about the subjects, it's not that I was dumb. So I'll go ahead and say that. It's not that I was dumb. I just didn't want to learn those things. I was more fascinated by doing stuff. So school's always been a trouble point for me. Anyway, I was one of the charity cases in the sixth grade. My mom signed me up for football, and I was one of the best things she could have done for me. Really, I really had a good time. I'm still in contact with one of my friends that I made there. He lives around, and I've met up with him, I guess, in the last year or so. He'll actually sometimes pop up on stream, too. But yeah, I've known him since, shoot, we've known each other well over half of our lives. Kind of crazy. And then Abby and I are coming up on our 15-year wedding anniversary. So we've known each other for almost half of our lives as well. So I went to the dentist this morning, and it was pretty uneventful. But when people ask me what I do, or you got a busy day ahead of you, or what else you got going on today, or something like that, I'm like, yeah, I have a busy day. Oh, well, what are you doing? You turning pens, or doing this? I don't know. It just, to me, it still feels kind of weird sometimes. Turning. It's also weird to say, I turn for a living. Like, is that weird? It's got to be weird. Like, I know if I was in the military at the time and I heard that somebody was turning for a living, I would well, if I was in the military, I actually wouldn't have known what they were talking about because I didn't know what turning was until after the military. But let's assume that I knew what turning was. I would think that they're like a Bob Ross, like an artist that has a lot of people that are interested and inspired and amazed by that particular work. And I don't know if you know, but if you have been on a website called Twitch, I'm pretty sure there's a 24/7 Bob Ross channel, which is kind of funny. It's kind of funny to think about. And I've tuned in, and then some people will chat a little bit, and they're like, oh man, there's wavy techniques, and there's happy little trees, and man. I learned a little bit more about Bob Ross. It came up in the news, in, I guess, my news feed. Or something like that. I don't remember exactly where I saw it. But he used to be a military training instructor, and he went from, getting people prep for being enlisted members to painting. I was like, oh man, that's funny. It's pretty funny. And so, you know, in some ways I immediately related to that type of thing. I wasn't a basic training instructor. I don't think I could have been a very good basic training instructor. I don't like yelling at people. But, you know, I guess when you frame it, when you're able to frame it to yourself in the way that you're like preparing them for what's ahead, then you can kind of bypass some of that. A social media star? Really, I am far from a social media star, man. And I like it. I do like it that way. I'd really like to just keep the core people and then slowly trickle in people that are interested in what it is that we're doing, what I'm doing here, and, you know, want to be able to do it as well. So that is one of those things that I think about. I actually think about that, and you know, it kind of led me to asking the question of what are people afraid of, and what people are afraid of is they're afraid to fail. Well, I've been afraid to fail for a long time, and so I haven't failed throughout a lot of those things. And it's weird because there's like a little switch that flipped for me. Is like, well, what if I'm successful? And, you know, success looks different for everybody, right? But, you know, when I think about it, what does success actually look like to me? And I think having a core group of people, not a core group, having a group of people that like the same things, and, you know, you don't need a whole lot of people in order to accomplish that. I'm a very, very personal kind of person. So streaming was actually kind of weird for me to do as well. But the possibility of success is also a strange thing to think about. So you're taking this giant leap of faith, hoping that your wings will grow and you'll be able to start flying before you hit the ground, kind of thing. But on the other hand, is like people that already have the wings. They're like, well, what if I'm successful? What does that look like? And I think for some pin makers in particular, because, you know, that's kind of the wheelhouse I'm in, I imagine that they would just have orders all the time. And to me, that would be, I don't think I'd like that. I don't think I'd like to have a whole backlog of orders waiting to be fulfilled. I mean, obviously, if the price was right, I would be more inclined to do it, but I still think that would only be a temporary thing. And that kind of goes back to how Abby and I have structured what we do currently. Is we set essentially a certain amount that we're going to do, and then any overages would be bonus. That if we wanted to do them, we would do them. If not, then not a big problem. When you think of drill instructor, you think Full Metal Jacket. Oh man, that's a good one. Full Metal Jacket. There's a part of me that wants my kids to watch that, but it's still not appropriate for them yet. Oh man. Arlie Ermy. He was a TI in real life too, I'm pretty sure. But the other one that I did have them watch was shoot, Major Pain. That's the one. Major Pain was what I had them watch, and they like it. They like Major Pain. And then I don't know if you've ever met anyone that's actually like that or similar to, but it's weird. It's weird when you meet those people. They, well, I guess I'll leave it at that. If you've seen Major Pain, that's really where I'll leave it. You know what I'm talking about. Let's see. It's not the failing, it's the getting over it and trying again and again. Yeah. Yes, I agree. I agree. But here's where it's also weird, because there's some times where I'm like, why didn't I start streaming before when I was just learning how to do stuff? And I think that would have made for better content, although I don't think I would have been as inclined to push very far. So I think people are motivated in different ways. I also think about that lottery that we've talked about in the past, Vinny. You were here for that for sure. You said something to the effect of, what would you do if you had $1 billion? And what would I do? I'd probably travel. I'd go to some things that were on my list currently at the time, and then probably get a couple fancy things, new house, and then. But once you're done with all of that stuff, then what do you do? I think I'd just go back to doing what I enjoy doing. And it might be less volume, but I'd probably still continue doing what I'm doing. I don't know, it's a weird one to think about. I watch a lot of things that are like up and coming stories, as well as things where people that came from so much, what are they able to accomplish? And it's really, really interesting. It's a good thought exercise, because I can't really relate to coming from a whole lot, but I will say I think it's easier to not have to take over something if you are coming from a lot. Like if your family owns a big company, for example, and then you're expected to take it over, but that's not something that interests you at all, that's a lot of pressure, and it's not going to lead to a lot of happiness, I would say. And if you're also coming from a great deal of resources, then I also don't think that that would be a motivation. But I think about that. I like to get other people's thoughts on it too, because there's a very high probability I'm not thinking of everything. Like, a lot of people are like, well, you could donate. Yeah, you could donate. Well, you could donate now. You don't actually need to be, you don't need to have a lot of resources in order to donate. Or you could start a charity, but who's going to run the charity? Then you have to deal with setting all that up and knowing who to put in charge of it, and then making sure that that all remains functioning in a ethical way that you want it to be. And No. And then, on the other hand, you want to give more money to people that would benefit from having more money if you just had an abundance of it, right? At least I would consider that avenue as well. And then, what are you doing for that particular person? I go back and forth on that too. In some ways, I think giving too much to one person leads to a lack of personal accountability and responsibility. Now, it's not like hard and fast rule that that's what I think all the time. It's just, I think about it like down the road, if that was a constant, you know, just like people build routines around their business paychecks, right? You build routines, you save X amount of money or percent of money from what you get, and then you put X amount towards something else, and then this and that. So if you built that or gave or contributed in a way like that, I think it would potentially set them up for failure once they start running, or once they don't have that anymore. So I think some of the most resilient people are the ones that have built up, lost everything, built up again. Anyway, you'd still make pins? Yeah. I would too. But I mean, here's the real catch of it all, is you don't actually know what you would do. You don't actually know what you would do until you're put in that position. So, I like to think it would be one of those. Who knows? Maybe you just become the person that buys. I'm not going to say it, but you take something over that you're not too familiar with, and then you just drive it into the ground. Give a man a fish versus teaching a man to fish, yeah. Yep. So think about that. You know, another thing that's in a similar avenue is you can tell somebody the answers to stuff or what to do and how to do it and everything. You can have a complete roadmap. You can have a complete roadmap for someone and they won't do it. It's like, here is your track to achieving whatever goal that you had. All you have to do is walk this path and do these exact things. And for whatever reason, me included, I won't do that. I don't know why. It's just one of those things. Why? Why is that the case? Like I got a message, an email from someone that saw my YouTube channel. It's like, are you a turner? Are you able to teach and stuff like that? I'm like, yes. Why? And they just wanted to be able to get me more exposure and build courses for people to buy. And I'm already somewhat working on that type of thing. So it's not so much that it wasn't the money part. It was the, what do you actually do? What does that person actually do? Like, we can increase your follower and subscribers by X amount. Now, it could very well have been spam, but it was very targeted spam, if it was, because they pulled up my YouTube channel and was watching one of the videos while explaining, do you want to make this, and that? Yeah. Whatever. I mean, on one hand, yeah, but I don't want to do it just by forcing it. It makes me think back to, I used to watch a lot of Mr. Beast stuff. Jimmy Donaldson, I think is his name. And he's like, if you were streaming right now and he suggested everybody go to your stream, what would you do if there were 1 million people that just popped up in your stream and you were just sitting there with one person the whole time and nothing ever was really going on in your stream other than you were just sitting there talking on camera pretty much. But all of a sudden 1 million people show up. What would you do? How would you handle those people? I still don't know the answer to that. I don't know what I would do. But it'd be pretty crazy. Yeah, it's all theoretical until it happens. Yeah, that's pretty much my life story. Ideas are a dime a dozen, but it's actually rubber to the road, so to speak, and making those ideas come to life is what actually happens. You can, hey, old Billy, how you doing? You can lead a man to knowledge, but you can't make him think. Yeah, I had a similar saying like that when teaching tactics. Is I can teach you tactics, but I can't get you to think tactically. And I think that's actually an interesting thing if you think about like college right now, where so many people are learning an abundance of information. And am I off when I say maybe we have the most educated dumb people? Anybody else have that thought? Whether it's stagnant or fleeting? Brian, how you doing, man? I don't know, maybe I'm just salty about some things, but especially about like nutritionists and stuff like that are trying to push the new fad of what to eat, what not to eat, and try this water diet or the whatever. I'm not dieting, I'm just giving you an example. I mean, I am dieting, but everybody's got a diet. And I watch it as I put it in my mouth. Watch the calories become a part of me. But yeah, anyway. Brian, you been doing some lives lately, man? I watched some of the reruns of some of them. And you were machining bushings. Quite fitting, quite fitting. I do now have a Discord. I've had it for a while, but I'm now talking about it. I did last stream as well. But yes, I have a Discord, and it's specifically about pen turning and stuff like that. And it's like a well, I'm calling it a 30-day Kickstarter. And ultimately my goal is to expose many different aspects of turning. That's my intent with it, at least. And that's free. I didn't plan on charging for it. It's when I get into like how the systems that I have set up. That's probably what I would charge for. But really, it's not like, I mean, if you've been with any in my lives for a reasonable amount of time, I guess, at this point, but most of the stuff that I would show or talk about or anything like that would be in there. It's just a condensed, it's what it would be. It would just be a compressed version of that, so somebody that just wanted that information specifically would be able to get basically everything that I know about it. So consolidating years of wisdom into one small thing. Unlike my streams, right? I just like hanging out on stream. And I'll answer questions. But it has taken a long time in the info for Discord. I think I still got it copied. It's in the description here of this live. You gotta get somebody to try it out to see. Gotta get somebody to try it out to see if it works. Because it should work. So that is the Discord channel. If I click it, takes you to Discord, and then yeah. But yes, day one also is up for the Kickstarter, and I'll be getting those out as quickly as I can. Yeah. Oh, I think I mentioned to you, Brian, that I was looking at getting another metal lathe. And I think the determination I've come up with is that I'm going to go with another wood lathe first, and then from there, once I get a bigger shop, then I will get a bigger lathe. That way I can potentially have the 220 volt wired as well for the larger metal lathe. So I definitely don't have that at the moment, wiring for 220. And I don't want to pay somebody to come to set that up here. It just wouldn't be worth it. But it would also mean that I have some trainer lathes in the workshop for when people come and learn in person, which will be pretty fun. And the lathe that I'm looking at is a Harvey. It's a Harvey lathe. It looks like it's going to cost about $3,500 all in. Did I say new shop? Yeah, eventually that's our, like, you know, that's our 5-year goal, is to move to a bigger house and have a workshop that is separated from the house, and then have that wired for 220, and then be able to have people come over that want to learn to turn as well as hang out. So that would be the goal. But I mean, if the fire department thing actually happens, then it's possible that timeline could move up. But as of now, it is still 2 years away, probably a couple years away. Let's see. Brian, I got a question for you. I think I need a mandrel made, and it's a M10 by 0.75. Yeah, it's an M10 by 0.75. Are you able to make that? Come on now. Yeah, M10 by 0.75 is what I'm looking to get. What I'm using right now is this. If y'all were here for, maybe it was my last stream, but what I did was I used this as my mandrel essentially. So it's the die, or the tap I mean, this is the tap of what I was using. And it doesn't go far enough, and I did put an extension on the inside, but I would rather it be more rigid than what I have currently. But it did work. So this just went on, and then this is my stopper. So basically I screw it on to where it's going to be, and then I just adjust this little guy, and then this was to make it actually fit in the Jacob's chuck to where it was flush. So it worked, but it's not something that I want to repeat for a long time. It'd be nice to just have a manual that do that. And I know, I got a metal lathe. Could I cut them myself? Possibly. And I suppose worst case, that's what I'll end up doing. Well, actually, what I'll end up doing is making one, and then that one not working out, and then I'll make another one, trying to find the easiest way to do it, and then that one won't work out, and then I'll just have to suck it up and then do it. Can't wait to see it. Benny, man, you'd have an invite. You'd have an invite. And that happens. Come over here, make some pins, mess around with some other ideas we got going on. Yes. And then Abby would also, if it was a longer stay, training program kind of thing, you know, that's what I would probably do with that $1 billion that I'm never going to get. Just to win the lottery. It's hard to win if you never play it, so that's why I say it won't happen. But let's build a shop. Now, if I had the resources, it would be a much bigger shop. But I still think there's a lot of merit in starting with not the best stuff. Because if you always start with the best stuff and always have the best stuff, what direction can you go? So, I do like a progression type of thing. Maybe that's weird. Yeah. If you start at the top, what direction do you go? And I'm talking about like buying the highest end everything. Because I think that it's pretty nice to want something. There was a funny little comedy that I saw that was states of mind as it comes to a consumer. It's like wanting it, having it, and then forgetting all about it. Something like that. It's really amusing. It's like, I really want that thing, and then when you get it, like the Stanley's cups. Abby had to get some Stanleys, so we got those Stanley cups. Yeti cups. I still have that Yeti cup from when Yeti first came about. If people want you to have one, they'll just get it for you. Dang it. Okay. That's how I am about some things. I didn't go out of my way to buy a Yeti. It was gifted to me, and so fine, I'll use it. But yes, although I will say, with the Harbor Freight lathe, the central machinery one at least, I knew that I didn't want to start there. I did not want to start there. That was... Nope, just didn't want to start there. I guess I'll leave it at that. Because it's a great starting point for some people. Especially if you don't turn very much at all. Considering like the entry point and how long it lasts, and the price point, and how long it lasts, that could be a great spot. Also, if you don't mind adjusting a couple things, that's also fine. But when I want the stuff that I get usually to be like a drill. You don't buy a drill thinking that you have to do anything with it. It just is going to work how it's supposed to. So it will serve its purpose. So if you do have a central machinery, that's awesome. Let's learn how to maximize the potential out of it. Let's make you more capable than that lathe. And if you don't, it wouldn't be where I would suggest starting if you're looking into buying a lathe. You've seen amazing things turn on the Harbor Freight lathe? Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. So I guess some of the things that I could point out, because we did have one for a day. These edges right here were all sharp. Like everywhere where it was casted, it was sharp and not beveled or tapered anywhere. All the castings were kind of jagged because it's done in like a mold, and they pour the cast iron in there, or they pour the iron in there to cast it, and it's very unrefined. So you're kind of getting what you pay for. Although I could do this. I can do what I'm currently doing on a Harbor Freight lathe. And I would say the same thing about variable speed. You don't actually need variable speed. It's just really convenient when you do. Not to mention, there are some things that I'm lazy about that are very unreasonable. I don't want to air that out necessarily, but there are some things that would take me like 2 seconds to do, but it's not that it would take me 2 seconds. It's the fact that I'd have to do it. And I wouldn't want to. also knowing that there's a more efficient way out there for a relatively small price. That's kind of how I view it. Because I'm pretty sure the Harbor Freight lathe is like, we'll just say, for the sake of this monologue here, that a Harbor Freight lathe costs $300. You could spend $400 and get one with a variable speed. You could spend $450 and it'll have variable speed in reverse. To me, it's worth the extra $150 to have the variable speed in reverse in that case. But I know that some people value things differently. And that was very apparent when I was talking to my dad about something. I guess I could frame this in a story. Here we go. So, my dad was on his way to meet me at breakfast, and he calls me while I'm driving that direction and says that his car broke down. Well, I obviously went to go get him, and then I asked him, so what are you going to do about your car? And it was on the side of the highway, and in my mind, I was like, well, why don't we just call a tow truck, get it taken to the nearest place to get whatever fixed. And he was in the auto parts industry for a while, and so he tried to call some of the people, but his people were out of town and or not working in that area anymore. And so he spent about four hours. This is a grand total of 6 hours over me going to eat breakfast with him and then him being done with this whole thing. But he spent 4 hours waiting at his car for somebody that he knows and trusts to come pick it up and take it to a shop that does the same thing. And that just got me thinking in general. Like, how much does it cost to get it towed? Why is he avoiding paying for the tow? If it was money, I would just do it for him. I would buy it for him. But it wasn't. It wasn't just about the money. That's something that I don't understand. Why? I don't think car people are out there to get you. I do know there's stories of them upselling and stuff, but he would know better than most people if they were trying to pull one over on them for like commissions or whatever. So I think towing it would have costed like $100. That's what it was quoted at. They would send somebody and it would go to a known car dealer or car repair shop. But instead, he'd rather wait on the side of the road for 4 hours. All that to say is, if there are more efficient options out there, why not? Ben, how you been, man? Good to see you. Good to see you. Seen your Discord's been quite active. That's good to see. You're growing a bit too. And got a few other streamers in there too, which is pretty cool. I see the lives pop up sometimes. Not always. I turn notifications off, but yeah, it pops up. Check them out every once in a while. I don't know why, but I think one of the reasons why I don't watch streams is because I don't want to like duplicate people's things. But on the other hand, it's like, well, they're not even turning pins, so. Yes. I did finally actually mention my Discord as well. It's obviously going to be pen focused. But I'm doing like a 30-day Kickstarter kind of thing that will introduce people to the lathe, to pens, and different types of finishing techniques that are involved, or can be involved. And it'll be applicable to other types of turning as well. It's just going to be focused on spindle turning. Yeah, I hope to have different sections in the Discord where there's the general, and then the members, and then people that are focused on specific projects. At least that's how I imagine it being set up. So that'll be what I'm working towards. But again, all pen related. Discord is great. Really happy to get those peeps. That's awesome. That's great. I had to set up Discord to work with your AI agent. That's cool. It is pretty convenient. I like Discord. I hope that I can actually structure it how I want to in there. I guess worst case, I'll just have a link to a Google Doc that will work. I suppose that's the worst case. But we'll see how this goes. Have you attempted that Stratify block yet, Ben? Oh, and I also saw that you did a class for peeps. That's awesome. At your place of work. I tried to go to Rockler and asked them if I could do a demo there. They didn't let me. That's the TLDR. But I did try. And they said, no, you have to be an employee there. And they said, okay, are you hiring part-time? This is about a year ago. They said, no. Hey, you're hiring full-time? No. Fine. And I did the same thing at Woodcraft. I went to Woodcraft, which is about 25-30 minutes away from where I live. And I tried there. And I actually had an interview with them. And they were asking how much money you want to make, type of thing, and the hours that you want to work, you know, those questions. And I said that I just wanted to work some part-time, be around like-minded people, and talk to people about, you know, woodworking, wood turning. I also viewed it as an opportunity to learn more about wood, but he was trying to get me to be the manager of the store, so he would want to groom me to be the manager, and I wasn't interested in it. So that didn't work out. And you got to be an employee there too. So no demos at the local store. Although there are clubs now. Well, not now, but there's always been clubs, right? But I haven't been a frequent there yet, and also they don't really have pen specific type of things that they do. They typically focus on bowls and hollow forms and stuff like that. So not exactly the right place either. But I did go to one of the meetups. Nice group of peeps. But yeah, they stopped the pin thing, which I thought was unfortunate. Let's see. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, it's been a while. We are going to the DC pin show this year. Yes, indeed. Why does it look so familiar? That name is familiar, but I don't remember what we talked about. I think we talked about you were getting a lathe, maybe, or in the market for one at the time. I'm not sure. It has been a while. Hope you've been well in that time we've been apart at the time. Ray. We'll definitely stop by and say hi. Hey, I appreciate that. It'd be awesome. DC's a big one. DC is a big one. And for other pin makers out there, it is the biggest, or if you didn't know rather, it is the biggest pin show in the world. I want to say Japan is actually getting bigger, but they have a lot of stationery too. So as far as like pins specifically, it's the biggest one in the world. So pretty cool. Let's see. Definitely had making fountain pens. Oh no! Still haven't gotten all the tools? Yes. Man, I've been talking about that for too long. As far as being able to do it with a really inexpensive set. My concern with doing that, by the way, is I don't want people to just start doing it and then, I don't know, creating a different standard in people's mind of what custom fountain pens are. Now, custom fountain pen, right? It means it's custom. It's whatever you want it to be. But I think people that have a bad experience with a maker's fountain pen can translate poorly. So that's a part of why I've been reluctant to talk specifically about that. But you can use a single star tap and die. All you need is a 3/8 and a half inch and you can do it. That's how I was practicing before I got my expensive tools. Now, you can actually do good stuff with single start, specifically making it line up the same way every time. But yeah, the tools that you would need are basically jaws, a Jacob's chuck, a variety of drill bits, and then a cheap tap and die set. That's all you'd really need to make a pin. And then if you wanted to go even more simple than that, all you need is a long drill bit, and then you just cram an ink stick into it. And then you create the reciprocal for the cap, and you can even use a jam chuck type of technique to turn that. But it's kind of why I'm starting a Discord, so I can put it in a place where it is I guess not completely open, although it's free to join. But it's not just entirely out there. But yeah. Let's see. Here's a cool event you found out a day or two before, lived 15 minutes away. What? That's crazy. That's really cool. You live so close there. We'll actually have our kids this time. Which reminds me, we need to talk to their guidance counselor and see if we can get a letter for them to be missing school. So my kids will be there. It's funny, last time we went to Florida, they were like, "Where are your kids?" There were quite a few people wondering where our kids were, because our kids, I don't know how most kids are, but our kids, they actually talk to people, and just ask them, "Hey, how's it going? What are you doing?" and this and that, and they'll go to the different tables. It's like, I don't know. It's really quite amusing. They're quite outgoing. Well, one of them in particular is. But yeah. You should definitely stop. May need to order a couple more. Yeah. Brian, it's funny you say that. It's funny you say that because, yeah, it does look like a little critter. This past weekend, we did end up getting a little critter. We got a tarantula. It's now it's at my desk. Yeah. Yeah, we got a tarantula. Mexican red knee. And she's about this big or so, somewhere around there. She's about this big right now. Nobody grabbed her. So she was on the discount rack, and we're like, you know what? Let's get a desk tarantula. And that's what we did. Got her. Like, we want the enclosure too and everything. Just keep her everything the same. So yeah, that's what we did. I know some people don't really like spiders, but I think tarantulas are a different kind, right? At least in my mind. I don't view them as like a common house spider. I view them a little differently. But yeah. We'll be making some this week, out of stock right now. Oh yeah, Frank, what do you turn? What types of things do you turn, sir? You guys get help dragging the tables. Fortunately, all the tables are set up for the shows. We just come in and then set everything up, and then because Abby's so particular about how it's set up, she pretty much does that. I just get to carry the heavy stuff around, and then when everything's all set up, I pretty much wander around. So if you happen to stop by the DC show at the table, and I'm not there, that's why. I wander around and talk to people. Particularly the vintage pen people. The kids aren't that cheap, yeah. Yeah, the kids aren't that cheap. But it's fun. We like having them with us. And then, they work on their handwriting pretty often as well, and it's always nice for them to. I think it's really nice for them to like go to a show and then see what their handwriting could be, type of thing, because sometimes their handwriting. For example, Nick Kang, he is a vintage pen seller, and his handwriting is incredible. If you can catch him on a time where he's not too busy, he'll also do embossing on leather. his home show is in California, but I have a leather notebook that he's gonna emboss for me. Emboss, that might not be the right word, but it's where you like press it in with like gold or something. You look for the Hawaiian shirt? No, we call it our stratified, but yeah, it's very brightly colored. That was my idea, by the way. Yes, indeed. It's like, we gotta be different, man. You can't just have a Maverick logo shirt. That won't be enough. We gotta stand out. So Abby's got a dress, and she actually got, because she was always cold at shows, which I'm not complaining. It's better for it to be a little chilly in the showrooms than it is to be hot. But she's always cold, so she would wear a long sleeve, and so we ended up getting her a long sleeve stratified for her to be wearing now. Usually she was wearing like a black sweater thing or a jean jacket or something like that. We'll be stratified. Do you have issues with theft at shows? No, I have not. At least not that I knew about. They could have been more subtle than I recognized. But no, we haven't. I mean, the closest thing was a little kid that reached up on top of the table and then was walking away. But I chased her down and tackled her, and then we're good to go. The parent. The parent. But also, I think people, if they were going to steal, they would steal from the vintage people because those are recognized brands. Yeah, if I had to guess, that would be what they would target. But no, I have not personally had any issues with theft or anything like that, fortunately. But maybe I should take that as an insult too. How dare you not try and steal from me? Is my stuff not good enough for you? I'm just kidding. Only a little bit, but kidding nonetheless. Yeah, I did see that one. What was that one? What show is that at? That was probably, is that maybe 4 months ago or so? I did see that video come up. I think it popped up on Instagram for me, but I rarely check my social medias. I'm not a very good content creator when it comes to that. But yeah, I have seen it. I know people like Jim Hines, they have cameras. I'm pretty sure Sean Newton also has a camera. Maybe not. But I mean, even with a camera, that's more of a deterrent than it is a repellent entirely. Makes it theft resistant, not theft proof. Oh, Frank, just caught that one. Just kept pins. Most were been so busy. Oh man, I'm slow on them. Recently got chopstick jig. What? A chopstick jig? That's interesting. I wonder if you can make like like knitting needles out of those, or with that. I mean, imagine you probably could. Could be a good idea for like really thin pieces. Like I've got a piece right here. I've got this thin little piece of wood. Yeah, I mean it's decently thick. It's just under 3/8, I guess. But if I was to like rip it down, then I'd be able to do something with these pieces. Maybe some high-end toothpicks. I think this is Bacote, by the way. Not positive on that, but I think so. Yeah, I'm gonna have to take a gander at that. I'm always on the lookout for new, interesting things that people aren't doing. You know, that's how you keep everything fresh. And then the other part of that, for me at least, is that I incorporate it into other aspects of what I'm already doing. So you may or may not have seen, I've done captive rings on diamond painting pins before, which is what this is. This is a diamond painting pin. But recently I did one on a nib holder. So this will be a nib holder once it's all said and done, which, you know, kind of neat. I'm not sure how well it will be received, but I'm sure somebody will be interested in it. So there's that. I also saw something else that was really cool, that people bought like silver. So there is a thing, there's a particular, I think it's actually a skin that you get that when you write on it with silver, it'll be there forever, and it won't dull over time. I don't remember what it's called though. Oh, you can make blanks around 7 and 10.5 inches long. Well, that's very interesting because I was thinking about how I was going to make my daughters in band. I was going to be making a little conductor baton type of thing, but I didn't exactly know yet how I was going to make that really skinny part. And then I also need to look up on the other aspects of it, but that's what I was thinking about, a little conductor baton for band teachers. She actually had a band concert. Middle school band concerts. I don't think I need to elaborate too much, but it's not that fun. So how does the chopstick jig work? Oh, like a planer. So it ends up being kind of like a planer type of thing. Interesting. So it looks like you can only do it in squares or rectangular prisms. Huh. Interesting. Interesting. Abby does love sushi, so she'll probably get some mileage out of a chopstick if I ended up getting one. Maybe that's how I end up getting one. Alright, honey, I'll make you a set, okay? You'll bring you guys a couple of sets? Oh, man. You made so many, just never finished them? So you can leave them unfinished? I'm not sure what finish to put on them for that type of thing. For something that, like, touches food. I have no idea. Is that a one? Yeah, I'm not sure which what finish. I mean, boiled linseed oil. I'm sure any natural finish. If I had to guess, I'd probably look at what people are putting on butcher blocks. Yeah. But we've used like bamboo oil, or not bamboo oil. It's but this is, it cleans, conditions, and protects. Kind of, it's just mineral oil. Yeah. I use this when I'm trying to see how the surface is looking. And I'll show you here in a second when I use it, or what I would use it for rather. So, because sometimes when you're turning it's not the smoothest cuts, particularly because I like my carbide a little bit more dull. That way I can give it a decent amount of pressure when I'm doing my turning here, and so it doesn't catch. When it catches on the very sharp edge, it usually just shatters or chips out or something unfortunate, right? So that's why I like my carbides a little bit worn in. I've gotten better over time, but I used to have a whole bunch of square blanks that when I would place my carbide insert, I would round quite a few square blanks. I don't know what I was going to use it for at that point. I was using it just to dull my carbide. I think it turned into something eventually, but that's how I would dull my tool on purpose. Because it didn't matter if it smacked it a whole lot. I guess it doesn't matter if it's super sharp or not. It come in with too much pressure. I was talking about shit not didn't happen. But we recovered it. And that'll actually be a part of my Discord, a 30-day thing. How to recover on something like that. Yeah. Hiroshi. I certainly do appreciate people that dedicate the time to Hiroshi art. There is someone that Abby met when she went to California. It was like Tamari Studio or something. And I've seen him around. I don't know if there's an N in there, like Tanamiri or Tamiri. Anyway, he does a lot of Hiroshi, and apparently he's always really excited to talk about it too. So he's on Instagram. Yes, yeah. I think he's from France. I'll ask Abby here in a minute. But yeah, I'll let Abby tell you a little bit about what he's like. I go grab some water right quick. My throat's getting a little dry. Hey, Abby, you come over for a minute? Oh, let me show you that one thing. Will you turn off Morty, please? So with this conditioner, here's what I do. Um, I'll get this, and then on a paintbrush, and then I'll just take a look and see how we're looking. You can't see that. Let me get it up close. Let me get it up close. So this is what it looks like without, and then you can kind of see what it's going to look like when it's finished. There we go. So without, after I turn it, and then I can hit it with some of this, and that's what it's going to finish like. And then when it is done, when it's actually finished, that's what it looks like. So it's just to kind of get an idea of what it's going to look like when it's finished.
That's a pretty good job.
And yeah, so pretty cool little trick that you can try out on your own. Catch up on the chat for a sec. But yeah, pretty neat little trick right there. And you can actually do it on the inside as well. The inside of the pin. Oh, we were just talking about the person you met from the Rushi guy, Tanamiri, or...
Oh, yeah.
I was going to let you talk about him for a sec.
Mikhail, I think. I think that's what was his name. His stuff is beautiful.
Was it like Gene, or it was like a
Mikhail?
Mikhail.
Yeah, like Michael, but French. Let's see.
I'm getting framed.
Oh, I'm reading. I can't read and be in frame at the same time. My eyeballs are bad.
That's it.
Okay.
Was that just water? No, it was mineral oil.
Mineral oil. Hi, everyone. Register in the Discord. Good. John's been working on it very hard. He's got a lot of stuff already that he's ready to put up there. Actually telling people about it has taken him a while, so I'm glad that he did. But yeah, Tana Murray from France, who does the Urushi. Yeah, his name I'm pretty sure was Mikhail. I met him in San Francisco, not last year, but the year before, the first time I went. And actually, I definitely messed up John's camera. Oops. I actually got to sit with him and talk with him for a while because I went and was sitting with Jonathan Brooks from Carolina Pin Company that first year. And the two of them have had a lot of conversations about Urushi before. I know Jonathan has done some himself. And Mikhail was saying that he has put out, I think, videos maybe that you could watch, or he was very open with the way he does his process and how he does it. And I got to actually like put my hands on and touch and open, you know, some of his pens and really see his work up close. Beautiful stuff. Yeah, he does a really good job. Some of the Urushi pens that I have gotten to see, the hand-done ones, my thing is always like where the cap and the body connect, because that is so hard to do with lacquer, because as you get to the edges, it tends to kind of do this. But he does a really good job of making those as even as possible. Hi, Gerald. Yeah, so I know that that process can take months. It's a lot of, though, like layer cure, layer cure, layer cure. That's the process that takes a while, and that you have to have specific humidity, and yeah, pretty cool stuff. Our black opal pens that we do that is resin, we've gotten quite a few comments that were like that looks like the, is it Rodin or Raiden? Rodin, maybe? That's the style of urushi that has the reflective, I think they're abalone, like little flakes that are placed. But yeah, so the other thing about Mikhail is he does some pretty cool patterns within his both Rodin or Raiden and the eggshell. I really like that too. Heard from people are allergic to urushi lacquer. I think lots of people are actually allergic to it. People have to wear gloves. It's not the easiest thing to work with from what I've read and watched. It's not something that I've personally wanted to learn or try, to be honest. Yeah, but yes, I do know that it can cause a skin reaction. John and I watched a video about it. It's a specific tree, I think, that it comes from, that particular lacquer. But yeah, definitely cool looking. I very highly contemplated buying, it was actually from Brad of Mythic Pen, had one of Jonathan Brooks' urushi pens, and I almost bought it, and I kind of wish I had bought it a while ago. Tree sap, cured, it should be fine. Correct. I have not heard of anyone having a reaction to having an urushi pen, although I'm sure that could happen. I'm talking about working with. I'm talking about like actually lacquering that people have to wear PPE and try not to get it on their skin because it's, yeah, it can be, they can have a reaction. So agreed. I'm pretty sure it's fine once it's cured. But yeah, cool stuff. I wish I bought that pen. Don't know what happened to it. I told Jonathan I almost bought it, and he was like, should have. I'm like, I know he should have. Some of those pens that that get away from you, I guess. I do not own any urushi pens. Maybe one day. But we've gotten better at not shopping too much during pen shows. And to be honest, when I did the California pen show by myself and had my own table, I didn't have time to shop. I think I bought the show ink, which was at the front desk that I could buy when the show wasn't open. And then I bought stuff from the stationery girl who was beside me. And I don't think I bought something for John. That was the other thing I bought. But yeah.
Frank said he'd come see us in DC.
Sweet.
He's gonna bring you some chopsticks, he said.
What? What am I supposed to do with chopsticks?
Eat sushi.
Oh, I thought you meant I needed to like apply something to it and finish them. Yes, I will take chopsticks that I don't have to finish. I thought it was a project. John, and it's because of John. John likes to give projects or come up with other things that I should do. Finish Urushi Nikaya at a show if you can. Is that from a specific vendor? Or you have to tell me where when you see me in San Francisco, if they're there. Although San Francisco is going to be crazy. I got an email from the show saying that they might have to expand into other ballrooms because, as Gerald and anybody that has been to that show, it is like you are moving sideways through people and people are hitting you with backpacks and like you can, I felt like I had to put my hands there and like sidle past to try to go to the bathroom. So it is absolutely above like fire code and safety codes. And I guess they got recognized for the fact that potentially there's too many people in those rooms. So they're going to try to work with that hotel to expand, which I hope they do, because the Westin Aloft setup that they have there, where the two different hotels are like literally across the parking lot, really adds a ton more of like options for people to stay and get to be right there at the show. Um, yeah, right. I don't have enough hobbies. It's hard because he's like, well, what would you do if you weren't doing this all the time? I'm like, I have no idea. I don't even have time to think about other things. Like, his mom crochets, and I love the stuff that she makes. I'm like, I would like to learn how to crochet, but I don't have time for that. I really, truly do not have time to make more things. But a premium brand in Japan that uses platinum nibs or is related to how. I have also never wrote with a platinum nib. I do own a tiny gold nib that John puts on a pin for me, created a pin around. But mostly I use the Yovo number 6 nibs that we carry. And my favorites are ones that I had ground by Kurt from Pin Realm and Architect. What was the other one I got? Or Scythe are my favorite grinds. I have an Architect, I think, in almost every size. I want more because how many pins do I have inked? Like 30. I think I have like 30 plus pins on my desk that are inked, and I like having all the different colors available all the time. So let's see. SF is too packed and feels like Fire Tribe. It really is. And I know that people complained as well. The other thing too is they're a dog friendly show, as some of the other ones are as well, but that I think caused some other issues. I think some people's dogs might have gotten stepped on, and that was a whole thing. Or like further up, I saw the thing about True Fae having something stolen from their table, and they had a camera watching their table, so caught the guy that did that. I have never had anything happen. You know, when John and I were at our first several tables, we had every single place like marked, so we knew when something had been sold for the most part. I know that Dave Dollar puts straws in his empty like spots once a pin sells so that he can visually see, which I think is pretty cool. When I first saw it, I was like, why? Why is he doing that? And I was like, it's actually pretty smart to make sure that you're not missing anything. But yeah, we're lucky that no one has done that. We don't usually, like, if someone is picking up our pens, I am having like a full-on conversation with whoever is like picking up our pens. So I've yet to have someone come past and like pick something up and not say anything and like try to walk away. We get people looking that I don't talk to because you can tell when people don't want to talk to you for the most part. That's one of the not most taxing things, but I feel like I have to be very like, I don't know, because you don't want to like intimidate anybody or be too much, or like, but you also want to be open and friendly and talk to people. So it's hard to tell when you should say something to someone and when you shouldn't, because I've definitely had it where I've said hi to someone and they full on like do not acknowledge me and like run away or do a really awkward, so, but that's not bad. Smart move. Yeah, it is smart. It's a good idea. We also, since we do our table a little bit differently now, instead of having the exact like trays marked with we did A through however many trays we had, and then it was like A1, A2, etc. Which is great for inventory, and that's still how I do it when we do the like online shows, and that's how I keep everything stored here, is labeled like that, because you don't want to put labels on the pens. Not that it would do it, it wouldn't hurt the pens. You could absolutely get like label like stickiness off if you need to, but the problem is they fall, like most labels will just fall off the pens. And you don't want that to happen. And then we also had a lot of people that were super confused about why our pens were labeled with like a letter and a number. So this took away that. And we've also like, because this is the biggest divide of people who like everything to have a price out on the table versus the people who like there's anyways that's another like vendor decision you have to make, and we've tried both. And the reality, and we've talked to other people too, is if you have the prices out, a lot less people will talk to you at all. Like they'll just walk past. And I like having people to have to ask and to talk to me, because a lot of people come into pin shows and they're brand new to pins and they don't understand that what we make is completely handmade. Like between John and I, we do absolutely everything except for the nib. And I don't know, it's just a way of being like, hey, that's why, you know, this is why our pens are priced that way. Whereas if they just walked past us all that and they weren't familiar with maker pens, they'd be like, oh my God, it's a really expensive pen, which I understand that it is, you know, for a lot of people, you know, for some pen people, they're like, no, that's totally like normal, good deal priced. But people who are newer to the world don't understand kind of the very, very great range that you can spend on fountain pens. But use washi tape if I want to remember something about it. Yeah, washi tape doesn't leave any stickiness. And if you wrap it all the way, it usually won't fall off. But like any type of like, I don't know. Also, we didn't want to cover any part of our pen. Are you talking to me? Which side? This side? John's telling me I have something in my teeth. We also don't want to cover up any parts of our pens when they're on display, you know. I know some people are intimidated to ask about pricing, and you know that's hard to have the two different sides, but almost any vendor that you talk to will tell you that even if someone like asks and it's too much for them and they, you know, aren't prepared to buy it, you're teaching them something, and that has created more freely. It's still there. I've been brought a toothpick. Let me finish what I was saying, because you interrupted me and now I don't remember. Oh, you've added something to their knowledge, and those people have come back and talked to us, whether they buy a pen or not. Like that's also a huge part of us being there, is getting to talk to people. We're always happy to answer questions for new pen people, even if they never buy a pen from us, because we love talking about it, is the reality. I'm gonna go get some of my teeth off camera because John says it's awful.
Not awful.
I think it was a cacao nib. Not to be confused with nibs for fountain pens. What? Did I get it? You want to inspect closer? Should I hold my teeth up to the camera like really close so they can see? Stop. What? You're driving me crazy. You come back to your own stream. What's that?
Water.
Okay. That's not just water. It's got old tea in it. It's tea water.
Old tea?
I can taste the tea that used to be in it on that ice. Now that is the worst thing. It's just not. Water flavored. What you doing?
Putting in there.
Don's got a whole tray of fountain pens that he has been working on. We need to make stratified. We have lots of things to do before show season, and it's May. And all of a sudden we're like, what? Like our kids are getting out of school in like 3 weeks or something. We'll be out of town the first week of June because it's like the only vacation that we go on all together every year. But anyways. This is a Bastion, right? Yeah. This is new or reimagined one. This isn't your pocket pen, right? Though this is the Bastion. Sorry. This is a reimagined model that we did release when we first, there we go. Nope. There we go. When we first started making pens, because the other second question, most asked question, or not even asked, but thing is it postable? It is up there with the questions most asked. Half the time you'll just have somebody who will immediately try to shove the pen in the cap, and I have to very awkwardly go, that one doesn't post. None of the ones on our tables have posted, you know, because we didn't bring, I don't think our original Bastions really to shows. That was it is several years before we started going to shows, but John has redone the style for it and like his method. So now this is the size it is when closed. That's also, no, I wanted a regular fountain pen. No, it's okay. And it has a pretty long cap, but it posts really deeply. Oh yeah, here's Gerald's pen. Let me close it again. Okay, so it's a bit shorter than our other fountain pen models. And then this is the pocket pen size that John is still ironing out the details. But yeah, so this one posts really deeply, so it's a really nice size when posted. And yeah, I'm excited about them. I have some of my special tuned ground nibs in the one that John made me. And I might have a couple of them now because sometimes they just end up being mine. But this one's for him because he has not made himself one yet. And this was a blank that actually was from the same time, as making the California Pen Show blanks, which you see how much darker. Sometimes if I have extra resin and I have room in the pressure pot, I'll put whatever colors I have left kind of into a few of the, like our shorter molds. And that's how this one kind of came about. So it's very white, but has like the color shift in it and a little bit of black. You try to get started a few months ahead of shows, but it always seems to creep up. Always. It doesn't matter really how far ahead we have stuff done. There's still stuff that we are doing at like midnight the night before, whether that's finishing, we have been up finishing pens at the midnight before we need to leave for a show. Let's see, for the last one, I wasn't finishing, I was done finishing stuff, but I was up packing until like midnight. That was the first time of me flying to a show and bringing 2 full-size suitcases, one of which was just like table stuff. So that was a whole other kind of process of figuring out how I wanted to pack all of that. And I didn't forget anything. Show me. Here you go. Oh, anyways.
Bomb.com.
I know. Thank you. But I know.
This one's still a little longer.
Is it than mine? I like it though. I like that length because I don't think they should.
But it's got to be for the converter and nib.
Right. Okay. So that was the other thing.
That was the reason this one came about.
Yeah. Because we had someone ask for a pocket pen, but they could use a standard international converter, which is why this one was reimagined. The problem with the pocket pens is finding a short international converter. I have ordered from a million suppliers, quite a few. They're ones that they call short international converters, and they do not fit. They do not fit at all because that you have those. Did we make for the number 5 nibs? That's what's in mine. You gave me some of the little pocket pens. Mine has.
No, we use it to make those.
No, on the nib.
Yeah, that's 5.
That's
that little black one there.
Yeah, that's what I just said. That's a number 5 nib in it.
Oh, you're asking what converter?
No, I know what converter's in it right now. I was talking about finding like a standard short international converter that worked with the Yovo nibs. But yes, it also has a number 5 nib in it. And what is this?
I've reduced the cap for the big pin.
Oh, that's right here. Take this one.
It doesn't fit now because I did that, but
okay.
That's the size that we're gonna go for.
So John had me order a bunch of their crystal. Is that the crystal bit pens?
Here's what it looks like.
These ones. These, of which people really like the way they write, but it's such a throwaway, like, little pen, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't feel nice. It's so skinny, and it's funny shaped. But we created, well, not we, John created, and I helped narrow down. He asked my opinion on different things, and we actually agreed on most of them, which is very rare. But this will be tapered a little bit more, the cap, when it comes to me, but it would be that size, and it will post. This one, John, it was a longer cap, and we both decided that we think
it posts right now.
Well, it doesn't stay though.
Oh, you can cram it on there.
Okay, it does stay.
On the inside part.
Sorry, it doesn't fit on the top part. But yeah, pretty cool.
So I was thinking about what Gerald said. For posted pins, how do you make sure that it doesn't break on the thin walls?
Oh, for the caps.
So
you make thicker walls. Yeah. Am I making fountain pens in sea glass? Here's my thing. I might. My problem with the fountain pens in a completely translucent blank is that, yeah. Well, I mean, but you can't tell. Is I don't internally polish. I know I could probably figure out and do it, but because
we have done it.
I don't like to do it. Yeah. I think that people that make them should charge an arm and a leg more than they do for making them, because while I sand a ton of things, I very much dislike internally polishing. So we end up having sort of this kind of like textured, what did we call it? Frosted. I'm trying to think of the word. Frosted inside, which means just, anyways. And what happens if that's the case, and I do still like the way those turn out, by the way. I don't mind the frosted inside, but every single time what we're asked for is to polish the insides, or can it be polished, or please polish it. That's not finished on the outside though, so it's still not showing what I want. Yeah. And it's not just a pain for my side, like, we had to learn different ways of like the actual like drilling internally, and you can mess up the size so that John can't thread it, and it stresses me out. Translucent body is a fidget toy thing. The ones that have like the little ink windows and stuff, but I mean, those are so cool. I love looking at them, but just for us, for simplicity's sake and for the amount of sanding that I already do, I'm not going to sand the inside. So, but if I remake sea glass for fountain pens, which was a plan, I'm not actually going to add as much of the sparkle in there, because these I pack with sparkle, because our diamond painting pen people give them all the sparkle and give them no matte. So, but for fountain pens, I'd actually leave the outside matte so that it doesn't matter that the inside is also matte. Because sea glass, when you pick it up, most of the time it's a matte kind of feeling anyways. So yes, I probably will, but they'll be a little slightly different than these. I also think at finishing these that they should have had a little bit more of like the aqua, like lighter teal color, and maybe less green. I like the way they turned out for this, but that's what I would do for fountain pens if I end up doing that. So yeah, that's what we got going. I would like to do more matte pens and blank specifically with having matte in mind, because I really like the feel of a matte pen. And I think I brought a few to California and they pretty quickly sold. California, I had people buying my personal pens from my little pen block that I was sitting there using for like notes. Someone bought my personal nib holder. Somebody bought, I think I sold a couple of my tester pens. It was like a whole thing. They wanted all the things that I like didn't bring to sell. So I need to reevaluate some of the things that I make, because there's always that, like, sometimes I keep stuff that I don't like and I don't want to sell, if that makes sense, because I don't think other people will like it. And what I found is that's so not the case. There's somebody for like everything, you know what I mean? Like, my tastes aren't the end all be all, even though I think they are within our workshop, because I'm doing the, you know, finishing and selling of this stuff. But yeah, so there's that. And we also want to have more like masculine options for fountain pens, like a bigger range, because there's sometimes that we've gone and it is just like all bright colors, you know, because that's what I typically like to pour for our diamond painting people who don't always like any darker colored, more masculine, because I think our audience and customers for that is like 98% women, maybe 95%, but yeah, so it's a different market completely. But John, would you like to wrap up your stream, or are you gonna turn more on stream?
What are you up to?
It's almost Stella bus time.
Oh, I guess this is a good time to wrap it up then.
Gonna go get our child from bus stop, and she's in 5th grade, about to go to 6th grade. And
if you do see us at the DC show, we'll have our kids.
Oh, we're gonna have the kids. Yeah, we need to call actually to make sure they give us 2 beds instead of 1 bed.
The counselor too.
That's not for DC. DC's during the summer. Anyways.
It was a jogger.
Yeah. I need to see if I can get no more passes for the show as well. Anyways, that's not what I was going to say. I was going to say our 5th grader is going to 6th grade, which is middle school here in the U.S., and I know that she's not going to want us to wait for her at the bus anymore. Like, immediately. We're not going to be allowed to stand at the bus and give her a hug after school.
You already tried to get rid of us for the parent-teacher conference.
Oh. Well, no, that was just a part of it.
We were walking up. She's like, what's that?
Oh, well.
Like,
I think that's a teenager thing, to be embarrassed by your parents. I think everything that we do is embarrassing. But, yeah, see, just my Stella bus alarm. But
well,
nice.
Thank you all so much for hanging out. And yeah, the Discord link is up towards the, I guess, up in the chat, and then it's also in the description. But I'll be making that more available as far as the links and then building it up and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I appreciate you all hanging out, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.